What is up? I wanted to go through some DFS, a little video, a little short one. Figure it's a lot easier than typing it up this week. So I haven't even looked at DraftKings really. I prefer to kind of set my lineups on Saturday, but I know some of you guys are looking at the Thursday through Monday slates. And I kind of wish that they kept the Monday night game with the Sunday slates, that they're not doing that anymore for some reason. But let's look at this. I usually like to get my defense first, so I kind of want to look at the defenses this week. Um, Broncos are actually at a pretty good price, 3,500 on DK. Um, I would still play the Vikings against Carolina, especially without Jonathan Stewart. I think they could have a good week, pretty cheap, 3,100. The Dolphins against Cleveland. I really like that. That could be the sleeper D. Let's also see. Yeah, maybe even real cheap. You could go with the Raiders against Tennessee. Let's look at the quarterbacks. If I'm going to spend up, I'm definitely going to spend on Drew Brees if I get the Thursday, Monday slates. That game is just gonna be huge. I think everybody for Atlanta and New Orleans, that's my game of the week. I think it's gonna be a big game. Neither one of them's got defense really. Um, like Matt Ryan, obviously. Eli might have a decent week. I think that the Josh Norman Odell Beckham thing is going to be interesting, but OBJ can definitely burn Norman. We've seen it happen. I like Ryan Tannehill this week. I know he's not very good at NFL football, but I think he's a value play at quarterback. Joe Flacco, it's Joe. I mean, usually he's not good for fantasy, but he's a cheap play this week. Be good in tournaments. Let's look at the running back situation. I feel like a lot of people will be on these injuries in tournaments. They'll play Fozzie. Um, they'll play the Washington from Detroit. Uh, Charles Sims. A bunch of people will be on. I think I'm going to go away from that in tournaments, but I'll probably do like a Charles Sims in my cash games. I think Frank the Tank Gore's can have a decent week. Could be a good option, cheap option. Yeah, Charles Sims is 4,900. That's a pretty good deal. Tevin Coleman, cheap. I think they're going to utilize both of them. Like I said, that game, that is a great game. Um, Blunt could be kind of sneaky, even against Houston D. I think he's going to get a lot of carries tonight. That could be pretty sneaky. I don't like Geo. Don't like Matt Jones against the Giants. That's going to be bad. If I was going to play a Miami running back, I'd probably shoot for the stars and go with Kenyon Drake. They don't like Ajay in Miami for some reason. I think he peed in somebody's Cheerios. Maybe the GM, maybe the coach, I don't know. But they don't like him. We'll see what happens. This is the week to prove himself. I mean, it's a good matchup. So I think that Darren Sproles is somebody sneaky that's way down there. They used him last week around the goal line, which was kind of crazy. People were knee jerking on Ryan Matthews because of that. Ryan Matthews is a good play. I like man, again, it's just that Atlanta New Orleans game. Mark Ingram, I think, is going to have his bounce back this week. Melvin Gordon's a good pick. They've got him priced right where he probably should be. Uh, maybe Yeldon. Uh, Chris Ivory's supposed to be back. Chris Ivory could be sneaky and cheap. Let's look at the wide receivers. If I'm going to pay up, I'm probably going to pay up for Odell Beckham because a lot of people are going to be thinking about last week and how he didn't really come through for him. And he can burn Norman, just like I said. I like Hopkins tonight. I like Will Fuller tonight. I like Dez coming up. That's a great matchup for Dez. Brandon Cooks, dwelling on that game. Amari Cooper, pretty good play this week. Brandon Marshall, I like. People might be kind of nervous about Marshall, so that could be a good play. Eric Decker, if he goes, of course. Ty, obviously Ty is going to get an uptick after Moncrief went down. Philip Dorsett as well. That's a real cheap play, Philip Dorsett. So also love Marvin Jones this week, and I think that he's going to move up in price eventually. I think they're going to kind of realize he's a real deal. So get him now while he's cheap. If you want to use him. Jeremy Maclin against KC, I like. Travis Benjamin, I like. Mike Wallace, I like. In tournaments, sometimes I like to go for the home run, and John Brown hasn't done anything, so everybody's down on him for sure. I'm down on him. I definitely wouldn't start him in the season long, but you could roll the dice on him in a tournament. You never know. He's had big games before, and maybe this is the game that he gets on the same page with Carson Palmer again. So I like that. Victor Cruz could get a touchdown this week. He could be a good play. That's all I'm seeing that I really like this week. Nice cheap plays. Dude, you could go crazy and go Kenneth Britt. You never know. He could get a touchdown. He's been kind of the guy for a terrible team in LA. He's been getting points every week. So now I've got him on a couple of benches. No way I'd drop him right now. Terrell Pryor. Look, the quarterback situation is going to be awful over there, but with Corey Coleman going down, Pryor's the only guy there. Barnage could get an uptick. Let's talk about tight ends. Quarterbacks filling in, like I said, with Barnage, they bail out to the tight end all the time. Dennis Pitta, the truth. Dennis, the truth, Pitta. He's making that comeback, and it's just like they picked up where they left off. Everybody remembers him going down, big knee injury. It was awful. But before that, Flacco and Pitta, it was like they were one with each other. So I like Pitta a lot. Jason Witten this week. Delaney, I think he's dealing with a hamstring, but if he plays, Oakland is historically they give up touchdowns to the tight end. It was like that all year last year. It's still going to be like that this year. They give up big plays to tight end. They can't cover the tight end basically. I like Dwayne Allen gets a big uptick with Moncrief down. Um, I'm done with Colby Fleener. Even that game is the most beautiful matchup on Monday. Colby Fleener is the only guy I'm staying away from completely. He's terrible to quite terrible. Basically, it was just a bust. He's a not good player on a really in a really good situation, and he's making nothing of it. I've dropped him in plenty of leagues. I'm done with him. It's probably gonna come back and bite me, but I really don't think so. Kyle Rudolph, that Carolina defense is tough, but you can't get it to the tight end against them. They've actually, Carolina has been basically a big name defense. They've given up a lot of rushing yards, and actually been passing against them. They're really not as elite as they were last year. I'm not scared to play people against them. I mean, you saw Denver game one, Simeon hanging there. C.J. Anderson just lit them up game one. So don't be afraid of Carolina right now. Clive Walford, I think he's really. I think they're gonna get him involved more. They should. I was high on him before the season. He had a rough game one. Started getting it together game two. I think he had 52 yards and a touch last week. I think he can really benefit in that offense. I like Derek Carr. I think that's a very high powered offense, and they can prove it. So I think that's all the players that like. I probably missed a few, but I will make a follow up post and make sure that I didn't leave anybody out. But good luck this week with DFS, and go out there and win some money. All right.